You know, when you get two of the biggest minds in tech, Elon Musk and Jensen Huang, on the same stage, you really ought to pay attention. And at a recent forum, they didn't just talk about the next iPhone. They laid out a blueprint for a whole new chapter in human history. They're calling it the intelligence age. So, what is that exactly? Let's dive in and break it down.
And right out of the gate, Musk just drops this absolute bombshell. Work will be optional. Just let that one hang in the air for a second. He's not talking about a 4-day work week. He's talking about a fundamental rewrite of the entire human experience.
Now, the setting for this whole conversation is really important. It was at this big US-Saudi partnership event. And that's key because it signals a shift from a relationship built on oil for the industrial age to one built on capital, data, and energy to power this new intelligence age. So let's unpack the blueprint they shared.
Okay, so let's start at the very beginning. What are the actual engines that are going to drive this whole revolution? Well, according to Musk and Huang, it really boils down to two huge transformative technologies, something they call AI factories, and the arrival of humanoid robots that are, actually useful.
Jensen Huang explains this as a complete change in what a computer even does. I mean, for decades, computers have been like fancy filing cabinets, right? You search for something and it retrieves a file someone else already made. But now we're in a completely different world. It's generative. You give it a prompt, and the computer creates something brand new, just for you, right on the spot.
So to power this new generative reality, you can't use the old pipes. You need a totally new kind of infrastructure, and Huang's name for it is an AI factory. The key thing to understand is this isn't a data center for storing information. Nope, it's a production facility for intelligence itself, just churning out new ideas and content 24/7.
And the scale they're talking about here is just massive. Huang makes it super clear that this isn't some niche thing for tech enthusiasts. To make generative AI work for everybody everywhere, you have to build these factories all over the planet, constantly generating intelligence in real time.
So that's the first engine. The second one is Elon Musk's vision for humanoid robots. And he's not talking about those clumsy robots you see falling over in viral videos. He claims Tesla is going to build the first truly useful one. Think of a combination of C-3PO and R2-D2 from Star Wars, a machine so transformative, he says, it could literally end poverty.
And just to really hammer home how big a deal he thinks this is, Musk predicts it'll be the biggest industry ever, period. Bigger than the car industry, bigger than smartphones, bigger than anything. His logic is pretty simple. Who wouldn't want one? That's the kind of economic scale he's imagining.
All right, so let's pause. We've got AI factories doing all the thinking, and humanoid robots doing all the physical labor. This leads to the one question that affects every single one of us. What happens to our jobs?
I mean, this is the big one, isn't it? Are these incredible new technologies going to make all of us redundant? What's fascinating is that Musk and Huang have very, very different answers to that question.
Yeah, they're really coming at this from two totally different angles. Musk takes this super long-term philosophical view. He's picturing a future where work is just a hobby you do for fun and maybe currency doesn't even matter anymore. But then you've got Jensen Huang, who's way more practical and focused on the near term. He thinks our jobs will definitely change, we'll get way more productive, but we'll actually be busier because we'll have so many more ideas and problems to tackle.
And to prove his point, Huang uses this great real-world example: radiologists. Remember a few years ago when everyone said AI was going to completely eliminate their jobs? Well, the exact opposite happened. Turns out more radiologists are getting hired. Why? Because the AI became like a super-powered assistant. It does all the tedious image analysis, which frees up the human doctor to do the really important stuff, diagnosing more diseases, seeing more patients. The AI didn't replace the job, it augmented it.
Okay, so just when you think the conversation can't possibly get any bigger, Musk takes it off-planet. He makes this incredible argument that the future of AI compute won't even be on Earth. The energy demands are just too great, so we're gonna have to look to space.
So you're probably thinking, okay, cool idea, but that's like 100 years away. According to Musk, not even close. He predicts that in just 5 years, it will actually be cheaper and more effective to run AI computation in space. And here's why he thinks that. It's all about energy. The projected power demand for all this new AI is just staggering. We're talking about an amount of energy that's almost 2/3 of the entire current electricity production of the United States. Musk's point is simple. There's just no practical way to build that many new power plants on Earth to meet that kind of demand.
So why is space the answer? Well, it just comes down to basic physics. I mean, think about it. In orbit, the sun is always shining, 24/7 solar power, no clouds, no night. You don't need heavy, expensive batteries. The solar panels themselves are simpler and cheaper because there's no weather or gravity to worry about. And cooling, which is a huge problem for data centers on Earth, is way easier in space. It's not just a cool idea, it's actually more efficient.
All right, let's bring this back down to Earth for a minute. This all sounds incredible, but it also sounds incredibly expensive. So, naturally, they got asked the question that's on every investor's mind. Are we just living through a giant AI bubble?
Jensen Huang had this really methodical three-part rebuttal. First, he says Moore's law is basically over, so the world has to shift to a new, more efficient way of computing. It's not a choice, it's a necessity. Second, he points out that existing trillion-dollar industries, like the recommendation engines that run the whole internet, are already being totally rebuilt on this new AI platform. And third, the AI that we all see, the chatbots and image generators, that's just the tip of the iceberg. The real investment, the real revolution is in the massive foundational infrastructure being built underneath it all.
So really, the big takeaway from their whole conversation is that this isn't just another tech trend. They see this as a complete paradigm shift, a move from the industrial age to a brand new intelligence age, and it's being kicked off by new kinds of global partnerships designed to build its foundation.
So that kind of leaves us with this final massive thought to chew on. A world where work is optional. A world with AI computing among the stars, and where money might not even matter anymore. It is a staggering vision of what's to come, and it raises the really big question, is this the future we're actually ready for?